Hello and welcome to the Calmcast, a time to feel calm and think clearly. I'm Clare, the Queen of Calm, a transformational life coach. I was a burnt-out head teacher who finally made the journey to calm after years of trying, and I want to prevent you from having to do the same. The Calmcast is a series of short explorations, gently guiding you back to your natural state, which is calm and clarity. Just listen like you would listen to music, with an open mind and curiosity. There's nothing else to do. Now let's relax into today's episode. So today we're considering we just put my teeth in intuition in decision making. And of course, as usual, we're exploring all of this from a three principles perspective. The three principles being a description of how life works, a really, really simple understanding about how life works. I don't know why, but I do not have my teeth in today. They're not really working in sync with the rest of my mouth. So we'll be looking at intuition and its role in decision making, and the three principles really, as that description of how life works, can just help us to see, to have more awareness, I suppose, of when we are really connected to intuition and we're being a bit more guided, and when we're not really. And the alternative, I think, to trusting that intuition is solely relying on logic and analysis and thinking, or often, let's be honest, overthinking in decision making. And I don't think any of us really work well with that kind of thing going on. So it's really helpful to start understanding better when you are more likely to be able to hear, I suppose, what's coming from intuition, what's coming from this kind of broader wisdom. And that, when we talk about the three principles, that to me is part of what that aspect we talk about in terms of what they call mind. You know, three principles: mind, thought, and consciousness. And mind really, for me, is this sort of energy of life that's kind of running everything underneath the surface, guiding us, letting us know what to do next, and that we're connected to really easily when we're not so caught up in our really, really busy heads. And that is the key, really, in terms of knowing when intuition is at play, or more likely to be at play, is the quietness, the feeling, the peace. And what's coming to mind there is that, again, with the three principles, we're giving a description of how life works so that you can navigate better and so that you have more awareness. That's it, really. Whereas what I hear a lot around intuition is that it's a thing to develop from the outside in. So I've heard talks and people who claim to be about helping you be more, access intuition or be more intuitive, doing things like, using card decks and tools and techniques to get you to connect to your intuition, when really, that's ironic for me, because what we're saying is you need somebody else to connect to your intuition. Now, once you have awareness of what it feels like, you don't need anything else. Those tools and techniques might help you get there, but I think just understanding when you're not there seems to me to be, I was just going to say, to me, it's the slap in the face that you need to just know that you're not there. And when you start to see when you're not there, you start to realise how to get there, or realise how easy it is to get there. Not that there's anywhere to get to, because you're already there. It's home, isn't it? This intuition. And it's really interesting, I think, because when I'm still really learning to trust myself and trust intuition more. I'm still not there. Not that there's anywhere to get to, as I say, but I'm still exploring this. But quite often, the intuition seems to provide us with a really quite interesting option. Because let's face, when we're thinking about decision making, we're often like, oh, there's only like two things our intellect will say, it's this or this. And so we go round and round in circles trying to decide between A and B, let's say. And intuition will do something like, it won't even be C, D, E, F, it'll be Z. It'll be something really, really different. Something really left of field, I suppose, often. And then our logic will come in, our analysis, our thinking brain will come in and go, no, you can't possibly do that. And try to derail it often. And it's just about watching out for that, because that'll feel icky, that'll feel off. If you get this idea to do something in your business, in your life, a way to solve a problem that's a bit left of field, a bit different, and might be a bit like, well, am I really supposed to do that? And that you'll notice that initial feeling feels so right. Like, you just know it's not pushy or angry or hard. It's just softly, go this way. It's like a little wee small voice. It's just saying, go this way. And then our thinking will come in and say, you can't do that. You look stupid. That's the wrong thing. You can't do that. That doesn't even make sense. There'll be a huge story wrapped around it. And it will often derail us. It'll often derail us. And so then we'll go back into the overthinking and the alternative route to decision making. It's not, when I say it's the alternative route, it's the alternative thing we try to make decisions, and in actual fact it's completely ineffective, because we're going over and over. I've said before, when we're caught up in the intellect trying to make decisions, we are caught up in the past, really. Caught up in the old stuff, caught up in going over and over and over and over. And I'm sure you've noticed that. I'm sure you've noticed yourself going over and over and over the same thing again and again and again, in the hope that you're going to find a new answer. And physically, not physically, but kind of how I see this is an image for me. And as I mentioned before, is that, the intellect churning over the past and getting caught up in the future and all of that is noisy, isn't it? And the intuition's often just a quiet voice. It's a beautiful voice, but it's very quiet. It doesn't shout at you. It doesn't boss you around. And the other thing that's coming through for me in terms of knowing that intuition is there when we're making decisions is this sense of, it's peace, but it's presence. Like when intuition, God, universe, whatever you like to do, is not going to guide us about something that was way, way off in the future. It is going to guide us to take the next step. So if we're caught up in lots and lots of thinking about and analysing and how this thing's going to work out in the future and 75 steps ahead of ourselves, then we absolutely are not in a place of intuition. Because intuition can only come to us about the present moment. It can only give us the next step. It can be an idea, a glimmer, but it will always be something we could do something about right now. Like the idea might be bigger than just a glimmer, but the idea will be it's possible to take a next step. If it looks like there's 75 steps, that place of calm is not there. Yeah, we're not connected to it. We're not connected to our intuition. We're caught up in the logic, the analysis. Well, I say logic, I'm going to put it in inverted commas. It's not really logic, it's the past, it's the future, it's the old stories of things that went wrong before, etc. So when we consider all of this from a three principles perspective, it's never about learning how to you don't use the three principles. You're always using the three principles. Your experience is always being created via the thought, mind, and consciousness all the time. But it's about understanding what's happening in us. So this is how I see this. In a really in a step-by-step way. It isn't a step-by-step way. It's just my way of describing it that I hope you find helpful. Is that when we are in a noisy space and we are caught up in something and it looks like we have to logic it out and reason with it and work it out with our intellect in order to make a decision, we will feel terrible. So that's always the clue, isn't it? Like this conversation for me is, are you feeling good? Are you feeling calm? If not, then your thinking is taking you astray. It's not the thing, it's not what's happening, it's not the decision even, it's how you're thinking about it. If you don't feel good, if you are feeling anxious, overwhelmed, if you know you're caught up in overthinking, if you're feeling stressed about it, then you're not probably in the best place to make a decision. And then it's for each of us, it is what helps in this moment. Now, what I've noticed is helpful as time goes on is just noticing that I'm not in a good place. As soon as I know I'm not in a good place and I know that's coming from me, it seems to fall away. It seems that my system then has this capacity to naturally just reset, to naturally settle. Not really anything to do. There might be something that occurs to do. There might be, feel my feet on the floor and take a breath. That might be helpful sometimes. Sometimes I might go for a walk. It's never anything particularly complicated. It's certainly not a complicated set of tools and techniques that somebody else told me. It's just what occurs to me. And that's really important, I think, because otherwise, because we can get caught up in, this is the way to reveal your intuition and this is how to have intuition. Just in the noticing that you're not in a good place psychologically, that you are in a poor state of mind, there is a natural falling away. You have a psychological immune system. It's always trying to get you back to calm, back to peace, and back to that connection to intuition. It's just that we get in the way a lot of the time. So I hope you found that helpful. Intuition is powerful. I think it brings us, it takes us out of the trap of thinking it has to be this or that. It's not this or that. The other, which is coming from that otherworldly place of intuition, is no doubt going to be probably even better than anything else you thought of before. So I hope you found that helpful. I hope you make your decisions with ease today and are feeling guided by your intuition. So lots of love. Take care. Thank you so much for listening. There's nothing to do now but bring some awareness to how this is working out in your life. Listen regularly to experience longer and longer periods of calm. This has been the Calmcast with Clare Downham, Queen of Calm. Take care and keep listening.